Yeah, so I'm a big fan of like sports in general, and I love being outdoors. And we always go during the winter to this mountain to go snowboarding, and we know that they do mountain biking during the summer. And like me and my friend, like let's do it, let's try something new. And it was so much fun just being in nature, just riding down a hill, and it was a great activity. But like towards the end of the day, like it's really tiring because you're holding on to the brakes because you're literally going down a mountain all the time, and your hands
Hmm.
get really tired. And there was this ditch, and I saw it, but then right after that ditch, there was another ditch which I didn't see, and it kind of like caught me off guard. And then I'm like in the air, and since my hands were tired, I let go of like the handlebars, and the bike just goes flying. I go flying, and I like roll down the mountain, and then I stand up and I try to pick up my bike, and I couldn't, and like there was something like wrong with my arms. And then me and my friend took me to the hospital. I had to go to the emergency room, get like x-rays, and it turns out I basically like separated my shoulder, and it was just super painful. But I was just getting that adrenaline rush, so I wasn't feeling it. And for like the next few months, I had to, I basically couldn't do a lot of the activities that I loved, which was like playing basketball, working out, even going running. And I couldn't even like put on my socks by myself. That's how much like pain I had in my shoulder. And I
Yeah.
had a lot of free time on my hands. And, in the beginning, I just like kind of watched movies and played video games, which was enjoyable. But then at the end of the day, I would be like, man, I kind of feel like I'm wasting all this spare time I have. And I've been meaning to start this kind of website because I really got into like reading before the bike accident, and like for several months I've been meaning to like I should do something like even start a blog and just share like book recommendations and reading advice. But I kept making excuses, and this is what like Stephen Pressfield talks about in the War of Art, where we have a creative project we want to do, but we keep facing this resistance. And like I had all this free time in my hand, and I kind of ran out of excuses. So instead of just letting that time go to waste, I'm like, let me use it productively. And that's why I started my own website, alexandbooks.com. And then, as cliche as it sounds, but like sometimes the worst things that ever happened to you, like bike accident, like, basically breaking your shoulder, was actually one of the best things that happened to me, because that led to the beginning of Alex and Books. And since then, it's grown tremendously. And it's honestly, I would take that trade any day of the week. Like if I had to break a shoulder to start it again, I'm like, I'll take that deal.
Yeah, yeah, I completely understand that. I had a few elbow surgeries when I was playing baseball down at University of Richmond when I was still in school, and I graduated in 2017. And I went through a similar type thing with a different sort of injury, but the same feeling of boredom and that initial 2 weeks when I was sitting on the couch, popping pain pills on the senior class schedule, not like so much free time. I wasn't practicing, wasn't working out. I found some things to occupy my mind that were kind of fun but baseless. It wasn't helping me grow in any way. And then all of a sudden, I remember talking to one of my friends about starting some sort of website where I reached out to music artists and asked them about their lives and wrote articles, and eventually morphed into Auxoro and podcasts. But I definitely get the feeling of sitting around with nothing to do. And it's like in that nothingness, you're asking yourself, what do I really want to do with my life? That 2 to 3 week period as a couch potato was a blessing, because I actually sat around and thought, like, what the fuck do I really want to do with my life? Like my baseball career, like I'm not the same pitcher I used to be. I kind of like talking to people. I like writing, and it sounds like you went through something similar.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess, yeah, and I hate to say it again, it's like, so yeah, some of the worst things that ever happened to us, like some of the best things that happened to us. And I think like, it was like some Steve Jobs quote or something. It's like you can't look at your life path like going forward, but like looking backwards, you could connect the dots, and you could see like, sometimes the bad events led to the good events. And yeah, I think that's what happened in both our cases.